everyone, and welcome to Connected Human Conversations. My name is Nancy Barrows, and I am your host for tonight. As you can tell, Mike Paterano is not with me tonight, and this is, well, especially because the cat's walking away, this is my first solo outing on Connected Human Conversations, and actually my first solo outing being the host of any live stream show. So thank you for being here. Thank you for boosting my bravery, and thank you for being with me in this uncomfortable moment that is going to bring me a surge of growth, I know. So I wanted to just say hello to everyone. Thank you. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. I see that. Thank you. James is here. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to everyone who's celebrating. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So one of the reasons Mike is not here is the topic was uncomfortable for him. And I understand that. Mother's Day is not a comfortable place for a lot of people. For some of us, it is pain and certainly a day that's challenging. I am so blessed. Thank you, Jen, for being here. Matt, for being here. Lee, thank you. Dorothy is here as well. I saw John Mayer. Oh gosh, you guys, Kitty J, my heart is swelling. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I will go back to these, and hopefully if somebody can write down who's in the comments, that would be helpful. But anyway, Mike chose not to be here tonight because it is a difficult conversation for him. I acknowledge that Mother's Day is a different experience for a lot of different people. I come from a place where I was blessed with the perfect mother for me. My mom has been my rock. My mom has been my best friend. My mom has been there with me through every up and down, every crappy moment, every time I leashed out on her, she came back. So I know for me, I had this amazing opportunity. Oh my gosh, you guys, I love you all. You have no idea how much easier it is to do this with you guys here. Thank you so much, Rob, for being here. Happy Sunday to you as well. And Mark Lee, thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. My beautiful friend, Laura Ripchin, thank you. You guys really have no idea how much it makes my heart swell. But as I was saying, I was blessed with a mom who taught me all the ways that I would want to give love and show the people around me that I love them. And I learned from her example. And there are lots of people who had that blessing to have that mom. But there are also a lot of people who had moms that were not up to the job. And they struggled. They didn't have a relationship, or maybe the relationship was actually toxic. And that's a really difficult place to be. And so there's both ends of the spectrum there. And I was hoping that you guys, my community, would be brave and share your experiences and your stories a bit so that we can get into all the different things that come up around Mother's Day. I did make a post earlier today, and it was acknowledging that it is not an easy day. And people have lost their mothers, and there's grief that comes into their world. I couldn't be physically with my mom today, and there is grief there as well. There are people who have tried to become mothers, and they have not been able to gain that title. There are people who have lost children. I have a dear friend who today I know is an excruciating day for her because her son died by suicide. There are people who honestly have to apologize for choosing not to become a mother. So there's a whole wide range of things here for us to discuss. And I'm hoping, let me just go back to comments. Again, if you are willing and comfortable sharing your experience, that would be great. I love that you guys are talking to each other. Ken welcoming Dorothy and Jen as he does everyone, and Rob. Laura, thank you. I appreciate the love and getting the love back, you guys. You are so amazing. So I wanted to talk about what happens on the other end of the spectrum. Different experience from mine. And to acknowledge that there are some people who have a void. Mark, yes, it's wonderful that you've had that experience. But there are people who have it. And I know in my life, and this is very one-sided, and I'm coming from a perspective, that this is not my mom, a central figure in my life. Tim, thank you for being here. Again, I hope somebody is writing everyone down for me so I can thank you later. I'm unable to do that when it's just me, and I want to be able to say hi and let you know one at a time how much I appreciate you being here. So I know from my experiences, and again, not with a mother, but from my experiences in life, those places where we have someone in our life who creates a toxic situation or, causes us pain, anything like that, it's really hard to be in it. And for me, I have the benefit of having gratitude, and I have the benefit of being aware, and I have the benefit of looking at it in a way that allows me to think, I'm having an opportunity here to learn all the things I don't want to do, the ways I don't want to show up. And again, this is not about a mother. This has been coworkers and friends and all sorts of different experiences that I've had over the course of my life. And I am distracted, you guys, by all of this. Oh my gosh, you guys. Sorry, very professional of me. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate you. And Abby, the vote of confidence means the world to me. Mark, yes. So there you go. Lost a dad. Oh gosh, just yesterday. I'm so sorry. Sending love and light. Divorce. There's a lot of places here where grief is with us on this day. My mom is amazing, Dorothy says, and didn't realize what she gave up to keep our family together until recently. Unselfishly, she gave up an amazing career because of my dad's insecurities. So again, right? She chose to do it, and she was home with you guys because she felt that was the right way to do it. Tim, you can shout out to my bedroom, but I'm actually on the couch tonight. Robert, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I really do invite you guys, if you're feeling brave, Dorothy, I know you shared a bit, and Mark, you shared a bit, to share in the comments. And I'm willing to open it up to have someone come on and speak with me if you're feeling like you really want to share your story and help me by being the other end of the spectrum. But tonight, I want to start with, like I said, acknowledging that it's difficult, but then talking about these places where we learn what I would call unintended lessons. So those unintended lessons that come from that place of seeing it done in a way that is damaging, is toxic, is hurtful. What does it take to get into a space where you can see that and pull from it the positive? And I understand I didn't grow up in a household without a mom. I didn't grow up in a household with an abusive mom. I didn't grow up in a household with an absent mom. Many of those things I know that people out there listening have experienced. But in my life, when I come up across things like this, I've been fortunate. I can find a way to figure out the good in it, the places where I can grow from, and I can find the lesson of who I want to be in contrast to what's in front of me. I believe that we all go through what we go through for a reason. And I can tell you from experience from my story, and I know many of you know it, I will briefly get into it. I, again, received this story. It's hard to receive, it's hard to digest, and it may take some time to process, but I was sexually abused by my grandfather till I was 16 years old. Now, there's a person that is supposed to be a loving, supportive, nurturing figure in my life, and that is not what he offered me. And from that experience, the little girl who started the journey in her brilliance got me through to where I could heal and get to mental wellness and be able to have these types of conversations with myself. What did I learn from it? What did I learn from him? And these are not easy places to explore by any means, to sit with that discomfort, to sit with that pain, to sit with that grief. And I will say that grief is one of the hardest emotions that I have ever experienced. Grief is not linear. It does not follow a neat path. It does not, it's not kind. It sneaks up on you. It's when you prepare to go somewhere and you know it's going to be hard and you walk in and it's so much easier than you expected. And then you're going about your day and out of nowhere, you're in tears. Something brings something up. But I still have challenged myself to be in these places and sit with them and see what comes up and what I learn. And again, I have gratitude. And that's not an easy place to get to. I understand that. I don't want to make it sound like, hey, you just show up, look at it a different way, and learn the lesson and move on. It's not that at all. Moving through grief is a process. Moving through grief is a bear. Moving through grief is like walking through molasses. And I know that each and every one of us has experienced grief and loss in our own way. So there is a universal that we can understand from one another's experiences so that we can connect. I want to put up Mark's comment here. Still remembers that when his mom tried to reach my cousins about the wonders of being a woman, his reaction to that when they were kids. But as you grew older, you developed the mind and better life. In some ways, he felt he was controlling as a young adult. So back to your story earlier, yes, that how we evolve and change over time, how we see situations, right? How I would have viewed choices my mom made when I was 16 that I didn't like versus how I view them now with hindsight, very different. Abby, thank you so much for bravely sharing that you lost your two most loved supports and your sweetheart pet. And I'm so grateful, she says, for the beautiful memories and wisdom that they fed you. Thank you for sharing that. I feel you. I feel your pain. I feel there's always a place in me that wants to tell people, I hope you're comforted by your memories. And it's a hard thing to say to people because when it's happening, finding comfort, not easy, but I've also found in my own experience that sometimes I don't want to find comfort. Sometimes I want to feel really lousy and I want to be in that place and I don't want it fixed. And I'm going to go down a totally different path and come back to where I was, but there is something to that. There is something to not wanting it to be better. And in my grief and the things that I have experienced in terms of loss, the best example I have is my divorce. I lost my community in my divorce. I lost my best friend. My ex-husband was my best friend. We didn't fight. It wasn't a relationship like that. There were other things going on that were not healthy for either of us, that didn't allow us to be our best selves. But grieving the loss of that relationship that spanned 18 years of my life and it touched every corner of everything I had done was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And in that, finding comfort in my memories was not going to work for me. I actually posted today on social media a picture from my wedding of my mom and myself together because I love the picture of us. And I could tell you a few short years ago, I wouldn't have been able to look at that picture. It was too painful. There was too much going on, and the memory of it was not something that brought me comfort. It was something that brought me pain. It brought me back to where I had been in the rawest of my moments. And to be able to be aware, to see that I can get to a point where I can turn that page in my history and it doesn't hurt the same way it once did is astounding to me. But it's a testament to how resilient we are as humans. I have been sharing my story. I have been telling everyone I want to be known, and I am going to be known, and I am the woman who's changing the narrative on sexual abuse. But it's more than that, right? I am trying to create a safe space. I am trying to create a brave space. I am trying to create an opportunity for people to fully be themselves, to step into who they fully are, to find their voice. So today in this episode, I was hoping to have Mike here, and it didn't work out that way, and that's okay. But I appreciate you sharing your voice through comments and sharing your experiences because mine is very different from a lot of people's. Hey, Bill, welcome in. Thank you for being here. I am overwhelmed. Thank you guys for being here with me. This was feeling very scary at the start, and I'm still not 100% about the whole thing, being here by myself. But with you here with me, it doesn't feel quite so lonely or as pressured. So just if you're joining us now, thank you. Welcome in. Today I am flying solo. My co-host, Mike Peterano, is not here with me tonight because the subject that we were going to be talking about was one that was really difficult for him. And it's one of the reasons I chose it for this episode. And we talked, and he's glad that it's here, and it's a conversation he feels is important. But it is It's a hard one. So what are we talking about if you just came in? We're talking about Mother's Day. We're talking about the range of experiences that people have had that bring them to this place and how they experience this day. I have not had kids of my own. I work with children and I have a very nice relationship with my nieces and nephews, but I never had children of my own. Is it something that I grieve? Some days, yes. Some days I do. I would love to have the relationship that my mom has with me, with my daughter and my son, the relationship my sister-in-law has with her kids, the relationship my brother has. It's just a beautiful family bond that, again, I've experienced the best of how parenting goes, and I'm grateful for that. But ultimately, I chose not to have children. I work with children every day, and I knew that I'd be leaving my children to go enrich the lives of other people's children, and that didn't sit so great with me. But ultimately, I knew myself. And this is something that I will say in conversation, but have never put out there publicly, but I'm too selfish and lazy to have children. I was too selfish and lazy to give what I felt was what children would have deserved from me. I love football, and every Sunday I sit on the couch and I watch football all day. And if my kid didn't like football and didn't want to sit with me, well, there would have been a conflict. And I say that jokingly, but it's really bigger than that for me. And I think that's important for people, that we understand ourselves and that we can unapologetically say, I'm choosing not to have children. What I have experienced around this, the second I got engaged, everyone was asking me, well, when are you getting married? And the second I got married, people asked me, when are you having children? And I had, for so many years, continually felt I had to apologize for the fact that I was not planning on having children. Somehow I had broken some major covenant, and it made it all worse because the way people saw me was that I would be an amazing mom. And you know what? I would have been. If I chose to do it, I would have been an amazing mom, and I would have made all the mistakes that every other mom makes, and I would have cried at night and pulled my hair out and probably offered to give my kids away. I saw that in the comments. But I would have loved them unconditionally, and I would have taught them important lessons, and that's, to me, the way I could have been a good mother, but I chose not to. And I just have finally gotten to a place, and maybe it's my age, people don't ask anymore, and I don't have to apologize, where it's okay that I chose not to build a family. There are so many pieces to this day, so many parts. And again, I thank you all for being here and sharing your experiences in the comments. I am looking for a balanced conversation on this. I know that my experience is something that other people have had, but I also know my experience is very different because of my abuse. And it came out when I was 16 years old, and the relationship between me and my parents was changed. And we went through so much together and got to know each other in such vulnerable ways that my relationship is unique in that way. I'm going to run back to comments. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. There's so much. Oh, it doesn't sound professional when you get all screechy, huh? Laura, but not everyone can take the good out of something painful. It speaks volumes about your strength. That's why these conversations are great. You're an inspiration. Thank you, Laura. I so appreciate that, man. Somebody screenshot, please. Somebody help me out here. I appreciate that. And you're right. It's not an easy thing to do. But if I can help someone else find that place, find some relief, I have accomplished so much in doing so. James, mother passed when I was 9, and it's an unreal time. I'm blessed with an amazing stepmother. Parents divorced before I was born. Bad time. Suicidal since 9. Working on that. Community helps. I love the conversation. It's not a hard day for me since I make the choice to discuss it. Thank you, Nancy. James, thank you so much for so bravely sharing your story. There's a lot here. Yeah, your mom passed when you were young. It was an unreal time. Divorce, gosh, suicidal thoughts. Still working on it today. I hope you feel the love and light that I'm sending to you. And I know that you are strong, and I know that you are brave, and I know that you are a fighter. And I am happy to have this conversation. And I do think there's a huge power to talking. And you all know that. You've heard me say that. The cure, the wisdom that we share with one another in talking allows others to speak their truth. It allows people to hear that their experience is shared by someone else and not feel so alone. It gives people the opportunity to say things that they've held in their head that they've been horrified to say out loud, perhaps, or terrified or ashamed. Excuse me. And so I appreciate the conversation, and I appreciate the way my community is participating, which is not surprising to me at all. Mark, my cousins from that aunt and uncle all have kids of their own. Most are here in North Carolina, and one is in Utah and Montana. Oop, I'm getting cut off here. Let's see if I can see it. One lives in Canada, right? So we as humans, we struggle. We have amazing resilience, and we have the ability, with the right community, with the right guidance, with the right influence, with the right inspiration, to pick ourselves up. Is that pretty all the time? Absolutely not. And I can tell you from experience, some of my ugliest moments have been picking myself up. Okay, again, Mark, such loss, right? Such loss. Such loss, and there are people who are still out there loving, still out there giving, and often offering mothering to other people in their lives. I would say if you tend to be someone who lives with that kind of heart, like myself, I did not have children, but I don't know how to stop mothering. So I had the privilege of being close to my nieces and nephews. I have the privilege of touching so many amazing lives, little beings that are growing into these beautiful, beautiful, full humans, that I feel really fulfilled. And I've had so many opportunities to mother that I am grateful for. Michelle, hi to you. I'm so glad you made it tonight. It always makes me smile to have you here, all of you, truly. Here you go. Say hi to one another. Yes, Bill, we got to meet your beautiful mothers. Jairus, we got your back. I know you do. I have the most amazing community, and thank you. I love to hear it, and I love to be reminded of it. So thank you for sharing that, taking the times to put them there. You're not by yourself, and you're a pro. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Laura, I should pay you. You are just the best boost to my ego ever. Abby, you are doing awesome. Great facilitated opportunity. And I'm so lucky that the community that I have shows up in the way they did. And so many of you have shared your stories tonight. Thank you. I appreciate you stepping into this brave space. Lee, I can have your teenagers. Well, joking or otherwise, I do a pretty good job with teenagers. So if you want to just take a break, maybe I can do that. Yes, he's giving his kids away. He didn't even ask for a bid. He was just willing to, hey, anyone who wants them. But I know that parenting is a struggle, and I am not here to judge how anyone does it by any means, because, like I said, I was not brave enough to enter into that role. And I know, I've seen it. I've seen it around me, from my mom, from my sister-in-law, from my friends that are parents, how hard of a job it is. And there is no manual that comes with it. There's no right way or wrong way. And I have seen, and I know that you don't parent any two children the same. So if you think you got it with your first one, and along comes the second one, and the playbook has changed. It's a different being with different needs, and you relate to each other differently. Kamakshi, I saw you. Hi, welcome here. Thank you for your support. Bill saying hi to Tim. Katie J, sending some love to your mom. So sweet. So sweet. When we haven't had kids, we find ways nurturing with others, like the love I have for my nephew. Yes, Laura, we have talked about this. And we have shared similar experiences of, I cried when my oldest niece went off to college, like, her parents did. There was something really powerful about that. And the opportunity for me to have been so close to my nieces and nephews. And I have my brother and sister-in-law to thank for that. they really welcomed me in and invited me in to be a big part of the growing up of their children. And that's a gift. Those kids, man, I was the auntie that knew the routine. My brother and sister-in-law could go away and would go away because I could hold down the fort, not because I was so good, but because I had seen them do it, and I had been such a part of the routine that I could assume the role for a few days. And what a gift that was. What an amazing gift. Tonight I had a family Zoom with my mom and dad and my brother and his wife and my nieces and nephews. And I still beam with pride. The fact that my niece, the oldest one, moved to DC during the pandemic and invited me to come stay with her and her girlfriend this summer makes my heart explode. It's not, I was able to make soccer games because I wasn't going to soccer games of my own children. There were benefits to everything. But again, everybody's experience is different. Bill is looking forward to celebrating his daughter's journey to motherhood this year. She's beautiful and just amazing, awesome soul. Nice. Congratulations. It sounds like you are getting ready to be a grandfather. I hope you continue to share the journey with us. I'd love to hear the updates on how she's doing and how her beautiful family is growing. Parenting is an apprenticeship with no training course. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, you get it down for one child and you need a different rhythm for another. I see this in the work I do with children. Not every kid needs the same things from the adults in their lives. Not every kid responds to the same things for the people from the adults in their lives. And I see, Abby, yes, it was disposed of upon delivery. I think it self-destructs before you even get it in your hands. But here's another place where our intuition, for people who are connected to themselves, and I know there's a whole group of moms out there who have a hard time showing up, who are parented in a way that doesn't allow them to parent their children in a way that is nurturing and feels good. And I don't offer any judgment either way. I know that people have experienced this, and I don't want to belittle their experience by only sharing the happy, only sharing and coming from a perspective where everything is great. And so, yes, I think the manual probably gets thrown out the window, and each child needs something different from the adults in their lives. And I think that's a big place to pull our egos out of it, a really big place to pull our egos out of it and keep ourselves in check, because I don't know the right way to do everything. But what I have learned over time from working with children is they know what they need. And if we're listening, they tell us so much of what we need to know. Now, there's plenty of times that they leave us guessing and pulling our hair out, like I said, and wondering if we're doing a good job. But they are smart little beings. And sometimes I think we don't give them enough credit for knowing themselves, knowing what they need, and for learning as they go. Lovely. Yes. Isn't it great to be the aunt or uncle who can show up for those things? I was a regular at all the games. I, knew the other parents from the teams that my nieces and nephews were on. And again, it just gave me such an opportunity to be a part of their lives in a way that brought me as close to motherhood as I could get. Let's see. I saw a question here. Nancy, what is the one thing, and I know there are many, that is the most profound? Wow, what is the most profound thing my mom taught me? Gosh, Laura, that's a great question. One of the things my mom often says to me, and I think it's really important, and she checks a piece of me that can go down a path that isn't always productive or kind, where she tells me that she will remind me to not change who I am because of the way someone else is acting, the choices they're making. And it's been a profound thing. She does say it often to me, but I do know that one of the places she will say it is, in relationships, in dating, that kind of thing, or having a friend that maybe is not in their best place to just say, hey, if you would have normally reached out to them and sent them a text or sent them this picture or sent them a birthday card, don't change who you are because of the choices they're making. Now, there are limitations to this, and she gets way mama bear and lioness. You can only continue to give people the best of you for so long when they are not returning that, when they are not showing up as that in your life. So there is the caveat there. But for the most part, she always knows when I need to hear that I'm being pulled from my center because of how I'm receiving someone else's experience and choices. And that has been profound for me. My dad, and we'll talk about it when we get closer to Father's Day. Oh gosh, I'll have a show on Father's Day. I love this Sunday thing. But my dad has taught me every lesson I know on forgiveness. My dad is the most forgiving human I have ever met. And he does it in a way that allows for people to move forward without holding on to the past. It's a great question, Laura, and I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of the profound lessons that you've learned from your moms, whether because it's something they've taught you directly or you watched and learned? Please share. I would love to learn some more lessons from some more wonderful mamas. Let's see. I thought I saw, was there someone new? Oh, I think I saw Tim back, and Mark is saying, yes, he can't wait for his cousin to become a mom. They're such great role models. And yeah, it will be something that I see you feel she will step into gracefully and graciously. How lovely. Yes. Hi, Shock. So glad to have you here. Looking forward to speaking to you later this week. Yes, there's a lot we can learn from children about this life. They are teachers in many ways. I actually did a post of Teacher Appreciation Week saying that one of the things I love most about being in education is the fact that I learn from my students every day. I learn from my students such valuable and important lessons. And man, what a privilege that is. Yeah, shout out to all the manuals for where we lose them and can't find them, whether it's for the dishwasher, the fridge, or like I said, the self-destructing How to Be a Parent one. Good to see you, Tim. Katie J. Okay, here's another one. It has nothing really related to the topic, but are you the person who sits down and reads the manual? Or do you mess with it first and you only go to the manual when you can't figure it out? And the manual can be that, hey, Google, what's going on here? Look it up. Wow, I just activated my phone. That's fun. But yes, I love it. Yes, saying hello to one another. Tim, so true. Kiddos are smart. Totes agree. We don't give them enough credit all the time. This is something I believe strongly in. Kids are so heart-centered and connected and intuitive. And we forget that they are sponges. It's the whole drive of their first years is to learn. Think about how much a child learns in their first year of life, and their second and third, and in their first 3 years. If we learn that much every 3 years in our lives, could you imagine how much we would know? And so to think that kids aren't observing, to think they're not listening, to think they don't get it, they don't feel it, they can't understand it, is truly underestimating them. And you know it because as a parent, an aunt, a sister, a teacher, a cousin, I'm sure you've had the situation where what you said comes flying out of a child's mouth. It reminds me, there's an example of my youngest niece, Catherine, who is going off to college in the fall, which is crazy to me. We were at a restaurant and she was climbing all over me, whatever it was. And I just said to her, I said, Catherine, you're killing me. You are just killing me. And a few weeks later, we went to a restaurant and she was being impatient. So I was climbing all over her. I was trying to get her to pretend she was giving me a piggyback ride and, just sort of draping myself over her in the booth. And she looks at me and she says, Nancy, you're killing me. You're just killing me. And she used it perfectly and she knew. And you have that light bulb moment of there's so much more that they are receiving and understanding than we are giving them credit for. It's one of the reasons I love working with children. Katie J is sharing, my mother taught me to dream big, think big, go after my aspirations, and don't take any bullshit from anyone. Well, that is an important lesson. And I can tell you from the interactions that I've had and the way that you have lionessed over me and the many people in our community, she taught you a very great lesson, a phenomenal lesson that you have taken to heart and that you share with others. Let's see. Thank you, Laura. This means so much to me. You guys know if you've been here with me before, I'm always trying to respond and say hi and welcome in comments. And then I take time after the show to make sure that you know that I knew you were here with me and how much that meant to me. So thank you, Laura. You are allowing me the privilege of doing that. My mom left. She had Alzheimer's so many years ago, but I think she taught me about kindness and generosity. It's a hard, hard, hard disease, Laura. I'm sending so much love and light. That's a really difficult. Hi, what can I do for you? So here's how I'm a mom. I'm a fur baby mom. These are my babes. These critters, I know that people are always like, your fur babies aren't children. It's not the same. But hey, my goal with my fur babies, and I know it's not the same, is to give them the best life. Oops, somebody got scared. Okay. I think there were a couple of walls that we're running into, but I think we're okay. It's to give them the best life, to give them the love, unconditional love, to create opportunities where they are happy and joyous and playing and all these other things. And I know it's not the same, but this is where I get to be charged with taking responsibility for another being. And I love being a fur mama. You guys know that. Well, you can have one of the cats, Mark, because she's the one who started it, and she's walking around with her tail 3 sizes. It's normal size right now. My mom had 2 sets of twins, 2 years apart. Wow, she was amazing, but you were lucky if she got your name right when she was flustered. We called everybody's name. Somehow you're always last. Was that the truth for you, Ashok, that you were always last? Like whoever she was trying to say, she said last. 2 sets of twins, 2 years apart. Man, that's a lot of mothering. Congratulations to her. Congratulations to you. It seems like you had a great relationship with her. Mr. Tuxedo is checking on you. Yes, he is. And he is very protective of me. He, as you saw, will lie around my neck, but he's always nearby. I think the fur babies are all right. I didn't go check. The little one ended up walking through, and that's how I saw her tail. I haven't seen the big guy yet, but I'm gonna go with yes, they're okay. I don't hear any awful noises. Tara, talking about being a good mom, I'm not even gonna go check on my kids. Lovely, Nancy Barrows. Michael Richardson, thank you. It is still nurturing. And I do joke sometimes that like I keep two cats and a houseplant alive. I am adulting. That's my way of adulting. But it is caring and nurturing, and it is a place where I often put them first. I want to make sure they're happy and healthy, and I don't feel good if they're not. So thank you for acknowledging that. There's a bond with pets, and I know it's not the same as having a child. Having a child, you wear your heart outside of your chest. And while I love my kitties, it's not quite the same by any means. Are you Mr. Tuxedo? No, but he can be from now on. You can totally hashtag him Mr. Tuxedo from now on. I think he wouldn't mind that at all. Let's see. Hi, Rhonda. Welcome. So glad to have you here. Happy Mom's Day if you are celebrating, to you as well. And to anyone that's here with us for which this is a difficult day, know that you can be here in any way that feels good to you. And I wish you whatever you need in this moment to make it to the next one. Shout out to grandmothers. Yours was a true inspiration. I had amazing grandmothers, but one of which I was so in love with and enamored of and respected. And she definitely made a difference. She was the one who snuck me cookies and frozen Snickers bars from the freezer. Yes, it does sound a little bit like the house caved in. Yes, this is what happens over here. One gets scared, that scares the other. Then they're like pinballs pretty much once they get scared. Abby says this is a long one. I appreciate you sharing it. I appreciate you sharing it, and we will see if it gets truncated. I will do my best. So I'm going to take it off of here so that I will read it from here. But Abby says, this is a long one, but I loved her wisdom. My grandma is a hero. She taught me to be kind to all beings, see all humans as part of the same fabric. Uh-oh, it's getting cut off. There we go. The same fabric, regardless of their perception of themselves. Respect and treat young and old alike. Give from your best, not your worst, or what you want to discard. Oh, I love that wisdom. Never envy anyone because no one knows their sacrifice to get what they have. Wow, I'm going to read this part again because I love this. Give from your best, not your worst, or from what you want to discard. Gosh, Laura, will you mind writing that one down for me too? That is amazing. And you remind me, Abby, my grandmother used to say to me, if you have an opportunity to throw your troubles into a pot with a bunch of other people's, choose yours back. Always take yours back, because exactly like you said, you don't know what other people are going through behind the exterior of what we see. And often it's a lot more than we know. And it's one reason why I think it's so important to have grace for one another and not assume the worst of each other. And again, I said earlier, I think there's a limit to that. We don't want to allow ourselves to be beaten up. We don't want to allow ourselves to be in relationships of any sort, romantic, collegial, friendships that bring us so much pain and do not bring us anything, in return. It's not healthy for us. But I do believe that, when you give people grace, not only is it a beautiful thing to do for them, but honestly, I find for me, there's a huge shift in my energy when I do that. So, and I've had it on the reverse, and that's what reminds me. So if someone cuts me off on the freeway, let's say, rather than being mad at them, I'm going to assume that they didn't intentionally do it. They didn't see me there. They didn't know their exit was coming up. They were distracted with something. They're new. They've never been here before. Because I've had people lay on their horns when, I've made a similar mistake. And so if I want others to have grace with me in those moments, I want to have grace with them, but really to not know what's going on with other people, and not to automatically assume the worst. When I was in graduate school, I had a professor who said to us, when you walk out into the waiting room at a clinic to pick up your client, or you're in the grocery store and you see a parent, she didn't use these words, but lose their shit on their kid, do not judge. You have no right to judge, because that may have been the 100th time that day and the 99 before that you didn't see they handled beautifully. I am the woman who walks past parents in the grocery store with their kids screaming and them handling it in such a beautiful way that I stop and say, good job, Mom. You're doing great. Because I know in those moments we feel like everyone's watching us and judging us. So I come from a place of letting people know that I'm not judging you, that I see the effort you're making, and that I appreciate what you are doing, because it's not easy. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to leave this up just for a minute so we can read it. So Rhonda says, spent the morning Zooming with my daughters and talked with my biological mom, who resurfaced last year this day. Wow. Out of the blue, just getting to know her mental health struggles, addictions to substances leading to the abandonment of 5 kids. It is a blessing, but feels like someone else's life now. But super grateful to meet her 46 years later. Special day this year for sure. Just meet her a Monday ago. Fascinating human. Wow, Rhonda, what grace you have for the situation, what humanity, what compassion. And I can't begin to imagine what that is like. But thank you for sharing it bravely with us. I know that my heart feels it. And please keep us posted on the progress. And if you need anything, if anyone could use support right now, let us know. This is an amazing, beautiful community, and we have lots of love to share. And if you're needing some of that, just let us know. Jenny Gold has made it. Yay. Thanks, Jenny. Appreciate having you here. Mark, my mom has let me know several times that no matter what I'm going through, not to hesitate to reach out to her. If I hit hard times, I know my mom is there for me, and it doesn't matter my age. Isn't that a beautiful thing? I will always be my mom's baby, and I'm sure plenty of you out there have the same thing. My mom will still remind me to take a coat when she's with me. She will, read me off the list from her mind of what's in the fridge, because as if I couldn't find things and feed myself. But I love it because it comes from a place of me being her child, me being her baby, and her taking care of me the best way she knows how. Yes, entertain positive options first. And Abby, I'm sure you've had this experience. When I get upset with someone for doing something, right, it feels much different in my body and in my energy than if I assume that it was something that was not done intentionally. I don't think that people, I don't know, I come from a place of people want to be kind, want to be generous, want to be loving toward one another. And that's really how I see things. And does it make for an inconvenient heart once in a while? Absolutely. Maybe more than once in a while, but I have made the decision long ago that I would rather remain open-hearted to receive all the love that's out there and is flowing toward me, and return that love back to the universe, the community, and the people around me. And that I will handle the hurt. I will survive. I will find my tools, and I will continue moving forward. But I am going to move forward from a place of an open heart that believes in humanity. Laura, you've got such great questions. Thank you. What do you think is the biggest misconception children and adult kids have about their mothers? It's a good question. I think there's a lot of it that shifts when you get older and you see the perspective. I think a lot of it shifts for a lot of people when they've had children of their own. So I think for some people, they probably look at it as their mom knows everything, right? Their mom thinks they know everything is what I'm trying to say. And that, when she shares her wisdom, we might just blow it off as if they never had the experiences we had, that they were never younger, that they never struggled, that they never doubted, that they never had the questions that we have. And we therefore maybe dismiss some of the advice, some of their humanity. I mean, it's very hard to see your parents be human. And I think it's an important thing to see, because sometimes we forget that they are, and they're experiencing all the same feelings that we do, all the same questions, doubts, struggles they're susceptible to. And so I think that one of the misconceptions is that, we fall into this trap of thinking or forgetting that they're human, and they're having a very human experience along with us. And so, no, they're not always going to get it right. And yeah, they're going to lose their shit. And yeah, they're going to have decisions that they are proud of, and decisions that they question, but that they're human. They are human. And I think I related to that really early with my parents because of the experience that I had and the things that we went through together, which has allowed me to see them differently. And I know that's not always the way that people, it's not always a place that people get to. So I feel lucky. Okay. Mark is saying, forget that their mom has a social life as well. Sometimes they feel that they need number one on their schedule all the times. Might think that because I have dated a few single moms. Well, and I think it is true. I have dated men with children, and what my attitude about that is, I understand that your children are your first priority. I just don't want to feel that way. So find a way to make them the first priority, but not make me feel like I'm not. It's a tall order. I get it, but that's where I come from, because I think, depending on the age of your children, they have to be your first priority. They require your attention. They require your assistance. They require your support. And I still to this day need my parents' support. And I love that they will make me a priority. But I also believe it's really important to remain a healthy parent, that you take care of yourself and see yourself as a priority so that you are not depleted and have nothing to give, and that you have ways of feeding your own soul and remaining your own person with your own interests and your own activities, so that you remain you. You remain what makes you uniquely, beautifully you, and that you don't lose all that. Great answer to my question about Mrs. Move. Oh my guys, I swear I don't pay her. I should, but I don't. Oh my gosh. And Mark, yes, you're being honest with us. I appreciate that. Remember when your mom dated a boyfriend a few years ago who was staunch Republican and was totally opposed, opposite of her in some ways, but he supported her. Not always easy to do, right? It's not easy to be in that place where we see someone doing something, someone we love doing something that we believe is not their best choice, not in their best interest, and potentially really painful for them and dangerous for them. And again, as a parent, I imagine wearing your heart outside of your chest and giving your children space to learn their own boundaries, have their own opportunities for learning, AKA make those mistakes, has to be, oof, I can't even imagine. I can't. It makes me want to hold my breath. And I'm sure many of you do all the time. And I say at work all the time, sure, I'm an educator and I'm teaching them knowledge to fill their brain. But honestly, I think the biggest job we have as adults, our biggest responsibility is to create great humans, to validate them, to respect them, to teach them how to do that for other people, for giving that emotional intelligence, for giving them the picture that's bigger than them and that they fit in, how they affect and impact things around them, and how to take care of themselves, how to know their boundaries, how to have respect for themselves and others. And I can keep going and going and going. But I think that's one of our biggest roles as adults in the lives of young people. Rhonda, teaching them self-worth, such an important thing to remember, but something hard to do for sure, right? Again, there's a balance that I think the parents that I've talked to feel they sometimes achieve, and on a really good day, they are doing it in a way that they see it, but on most days they don't see how brilliantly and beautifully they are parenting their children. Again, I say that knowing that there are parents who don't do that. So I want to stop and again acknowledge that I'm speaking about this from my perspective of having wonderful parents and an amazing mom, and from the perspective of what I believe each child deserves. Unfortunately, that does not mean that's what each child gets. And so for those of you who didn't get it, know that I am not dismissing your experience, and I think it's incredibly brave when you share it, and it is very real, and it's very different from my own. Sometimes it's hard to practice for ourselves this, self-care habits and continued thought. I think that is so true. It's so hard to put ourselves first, and I think part of it is a societal piece of that, especially as moms, we are supposed to be so self-sacrificing. I say we, just as women, so self-sacrificing, and somehow self-care, taking care of ourselves, pulling back and doing something for me, saying no, makes us selfish. And that is such a dangerous concept to have out there and to be perpetuating, because we know that's not true. Taking care of yourself in many ways is the most selfless thing you can do, because it allows you to continue to give to others. You refill your bucket, you re-energize your soul, and you create space for you to be you and share that with others. I like the way birds do it. Food from my throat, but you'll have to learn to fly. Oh, this is, yes. It's another great one. You guys are amazing. I love the wisdom that you share and that you are here to share it. Found you all talking. Perfect end of, oh my gosh. Thank you, Rhonda. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad that you made it. I'm glad that you had a wonderful day. For those of you who the day was difficult and you showed up anyway, thank you. Thank you for trusting us. Thank you for showing up as you are and knowing that there would be no judgment and that you would be received with love and that you could be exactly who you are in exactly the space you were. Thank you to everyone this evening for showing up, for engaging, for supporting me. I came in super nervous. I came in super, super nervous. I came in wondering if I would make it through the show. I came in with a plan of ending it early. And thanks to you all, I now have solo flight under my belt. I have made it through almost the entire show, and the value of me being here is reflected to me by you guys in the comments. And I don't have words to tell you how much that means to me. Truly, coming from my heart, I thank you. If there's anything anyone wants to add, it's about time to wrap up. But if there's any last thoughts, please feel free to share them. Thank you, James. Thank you. I appreciate that it was of value to you and that it resonated with you, and that you appreciated my showing up. Got the greatest job. I find Mother's Day very difficult. Oh gosh, thank you. Before I read it, Michael, thank you for so bravely sharing your truth. And I'm ashamed of it. It would take me days to provide fair context, though I don't know where to start with someone that doesn't already know my story. Well, we may not have the entire time here, but you start at the beginning. You start by doing what you just did. You share it. You share the piece that you can in the time that you have in this situation, time being a constraint, but you share what you're ready to share and you continue to have the conversation and you find the people who will enter that space respectfully with you. And I'm willing to, I'm happy to, and I know there's lots of people here who would want to hear your story and help you move from shame to something that serves you better and certainly allows you to see yourself differently in that scenario. Oh my gosh, look who's here. Oh, I have a LinkedIn user. I don't know who you are, but I saw Senor Paisada. Now I can't find you. Okay, hang on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be okay. There he is. A 4-hour show. Oh my, no. Unless you're all coming on with me, I have about 2 minutes left of this hour. And as much as I have truly appreciated it and enjoyed it, I think 4 is a little bit much for a first solo flight, but thank you for the vote of confidence and thank you for being here. Of course, I absolutely there it is. If KDJ concurs, then we know it's a show. Laura, thank you for your help. I love you too. You're a beautiful friend. And as I always say when I'm on, if those of you in the comments are not already connected to one another, reach out. These are beautiful people. These are amazing, lovely, heart-centered, generous, compassionate, wise people here in this community. So please, if you are not connected, reach out to one another. Say you saw each other in the comments of this show with me and Connected Human Conversations. My community has grown leaps and bounds by doing that. And I appreciate everyone that I have had that opportunity to connect with. So please reach out to one another. You did a special. Oh, he lost his mother at a very young age. It was difficult, but he got through it. And that's it, right? Because even if he wasn't on the show, it was going to be difficult and he was going to have to get through it. But I hope for him sharing it with someone else and the people listening, having the support of those who were listening, made it just a little bit easier for him to get through that. Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate those kind words. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to put it in comments to tell me. It's a scary place to be, but I feel, like I said, my job is to show up. My job is to show up. My job is to show up as I am. My job is to create safe and brave space for the discussions like the one we had tonight. It means so much to me that you join me in this space and that you feel comfortable to share. LinkedIn user, if you're still there, will you put your name in your comments so I know who you are? Normally I'm looking on LinkedIn at the same time and multitasking and doing a pretty decent job at that, but tonight that has not been. I have not accomplished that. I have Laura taking care of me. If any of you took screenshots, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to everyone. I agree, Laura, 1,000% for making the day sweeter. Oh gosh, you guys, the comments are still going. Saying no meant you weren't self-sacrificing enough, sadly, but we need to love and be compassionate to ourselves. Self-love is such a powerful tool, and it is hard. It is hard if you don't have it, to develop it, especially because a lot of the voices from the outside in are telling you that by doing so, by engaging in self-love, you are being selfish and somehow you are disappointing people and you are not a good person. I'm truly a great host. Oh my gosh, Mark, gosh, it's so weird to read these things about myself out loud. You truly are a great host. You're beautiful and wonderful. You need to be a network star. Los Angeles, get this woman an international platform. Thank you. From your fingers to the universe's ears, Mark. I appreciate that. And if someone could please take a screenshot for me, I'm sorry. These are beautiful things. They mean so much to me, and know that I do share them. And I have a file. I have a file of happy. And I take these screenshots and I put them in there. And for the days that maybe I'm not feeling all the ways that you feel about me, it's so empowering to read those comments back. Honestly, I truly appreciate that. That's why I thank you for taking the time to put them into the comments, because you could think it in your head and not write it down, and I would never know. But this gives me the opportunity. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go back through this whole show and take screenshots. You guys are just absolutely amazing. I want you to know that I give back to you what you all give to me. LinkedIn user, you're always here for me. Thank you. I wish I knew who it was. Does anyone know who the LinkedIn user is? I'd love to know. Abby, love you. Nancy Barrow, strong people. Thank you, Abby. I need another screenshot. You guys, please know that I show up here, and what I give is because of what you have, what I've received from you. You are all amazing, and you make this possible. Conversation. So, I'm going to say it because I get to. Today's conversation is so damn scrumptiously, deliciously, edibly tasty good to me. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness in you. Again, if I haven't said it enough, people, please take screenshots for me. I can go back and do it, but it would be lovely. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you all again for being here. I want to thank you for entering into this safe space bravely. I want to thank you for taking the time to share your stories, to let us into your world in a vulnerable way. Let us be there for you. And again, I cannot say enough. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the encouragement. And know that everything I give is because of what I receive from you all. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate you. And thank you, Abby. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, everyone. Thank you for